Welcome to another podcast of the Riffle series. The Riffle podcast series brought to you by 10 Leaves. Today, we're doing a deep dive into what might be one of the most comprehensive regulatory frameworks for crypto mining anywhere in the world. We're looking at the Abu Dhabi Global Market, the ADGM, and the new guidance they've proposed. So for you, our mission today is to really cut through the complexity and pull out the key requirements for anyone wanting to set up a crypto mining operation in or from ADGM. We want to get to the bottom of not just what the rules are, but why the bar is being set so high, especially for global operations.
It's a really important set of documents. We're basing this on the discussion paper, which is DP number 1 of 2026, and the guidance that comes with it from the ADGM's Registration Authority, or the RA. And this isn't just some random update. It's a strategic play. It fits right into the UAE's bigger vision of building a diversified, knowledge-based economy.
And it's still a proposal at this stage, right?
Exactly. It's out there for feedback. The deadline for comments is March 2026, so the industry is really digging into this right now, trying to figure out what it all means.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the most fundamental question, the one that really frames everything else. Is crypto mining regulated as a financial service in ADGM?
That is the most important distinction they make, and no. The answer is a very clear no. Crypto mining is explicitly not classified as a regulated financial service. What that means in practice is you don't need a license from the Financial Services Regulatory Authority, the FSRA.
Right, which makes sense. I mean, mining is more of an industrial, tech-heavy operation. But if it's not a financial service, what is it? And why is the Registration Authority getting so involved?
It's classified as a licensed commercial activity, specifically Activity 7230. So any company that wants to do this has to get a commercial license from the RA under their 2025 regulations.
So a commercial license, not a financial one. But it sounds like the level of scrutiny is way higher than for, say, opening a standard trading company. Why is that?
The RA spells it out pretty clearly. They see that while mining doesn't pose traditional financial risks, like market manipulation or consumer credit, it does bring huge operational risks.
Like what specifically?
Things like operational resilience, cybersecurity is a massive one, and of course, transparency around ownership to prevent money laundering. So these rules are designed to get ahead of those risks.
What about the technology itself? Is the framework biased towards proof of work, given the energy debate, or does it also cover things like proof of stake?
No, they've been very careful to make it technology neutral. It applies to the core activity, which is validating transactions and securing a network.
So the how doesn't matter as much as the what.
Exactly. It covers proof of work, proof of stake, and frankly, any future consensus mechanisms we haven't even thought of yet. They're focused on the act of validation itself.
And who gets a pass here? I mean, is every single person with a small rig in their apartment going to get caught up in this?
Thankfully, no. They specifically carve out small-scale, non-commercial mining. So, individuals doing it for personal purposes. This framework is really aimed at the big commercial-scale operations. But this is where it gets really interesting, legally speaking. Once you've mined a block and you get your reward, what is that digital asset? What is its legal status?
That's a huge question. Commercial certainty really hinges on that. So, once those assets are lawfully generated, how did ADGM actually define them?
They are recognized as property, full stop, property capable of being owned.
That's critical.
It's absolutely critical. It means these assets are then subject to all the normal laws around property rights, commercial deals, and yes, taxation. It gives miners and investors a really solid legal footing.
So by calling it property, you get rid of all that legal gray area that still exists in other places.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, the documents mention taxation is a federal matter, right? ADGM sets the property status. The taxes themselves are handled at the UAE federal level.
That's exactly right. The RA handles the licensing. Fiscal policy is separate. What's fascinating here is just the sheer amount of preparation the RA is demanding before you even get a license. The pre-licensing hurdles are incredibly high because the risks are seen as so significant.
Yeah, I saw that. They're not just asking for a simple business plan. What are the key things an applicant needs to have ready?
Okay, so first up is a detailed operational plan. And I mean detailed. We're talking hardware specs, your projected scale, so hashing power, capacity, your whole operational workflow, and even the specific physical locations inside ADGM.
And I imagine with the climate in the Gulf, things like operational resilience are a big focus.
A huge focus. You also need an infrastructure security and resilience plan. This has to cover physical security, robust heat management systems, and really comprehensive plans for business continuity and disaster recovery. They want to know you can stay up and running.
And this isn't just your standard office IT stuff. What about cybersecurity?
No, this is industrial grade. They explicitly say you need to be aligned with recognized global frameworks, like ISO 27001 or NIST. It forces a very high professional standard for securing the whole operation.
Okay, so now let's talk about transparency, because this is where ADGM really seems to be pushing the envelope: corporate and asset transparency.
Right. So the basics are there. You have to keep the RA updated on your ultimate beneficial ownership, your UBO, and any changes to your corporate structure. That's pretty standard anti-money laundering stuff.
But there's a requirement that goes way beyond that, one that really jumped out at me. It's about the tech itself.
That's the one. This is the big one. Crypto mining entities must disclose the addresses of all smart contracts and all blockchain wallets that they own or control.
All of them, on request.
All of them upon request.
Wow, that's next level. I mean, the discussion paper itself asks if this creates privacy or security risks. How are they trying to balance that need for oversight with operational security for the companies?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's exactly what they're asking for industry feedback on. But their intention is clear. They need to be able to trace where the block rewards are going to check for things like sanctions compliance and AML. It's sort of the price of admission for operating in a high-trust jurisdiction like ADGM.
And it sounds like the RA is ready to actually use that data. They mentioned using third-party tech to monitor on-chain activity.
Yes, they're not just collecting it to file it away. They're prepared to actively monitor the wallets and smart contracts that are disclosed, showing they're willing to engage right at the blockchain layer.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me: the actual supervisory power of the RA.
Yeah.
They use a risk-based approach, and we know they can do things like unannounced on-site inspections. But what does their full toolkit look like?
It is very comprehensive. It goes way beyond just looking at paperwork. You have off-site reviews of reports and, like you said, those on-site inspections, which could be unannounced. But they can also require third-party verification. So they can force a company to get an independent audit done on, say, its cybersecurity controls. And then there's the on-chain monitoring we just talked about.
So what happens if you break the rules? If you fail an audit or don't report your UBO info correctly, what can the RA actually do?
They have a whole range of powers. It can start with a formal warning, then move to financial penalties. They can also direct you to fix a specific problem. And for really serious breaches, they can suspend or even completely revoke your commercial license.
So real consequences.
Very real consequences. It's all about maintaining the integrity of the whole ADGM system.
Okay, let's shift to what I think is the most ambitious part of this whole framework: the rules for ADGM-registered headquarters that oversee global mining operations. This feels like they're extending their reach beyond their own borders.
That's a great way to put it. It's all about managing reputational risk. From the RA's perspective, if an ADGM licensed company is a global headquarters, the risk profile of that company includes its entire global footprint.
So if a subsidiary in another country has a massive security breach, it reflects badly on the ADGM license.
Precisely. It's like holding a multinational corporation accountable for the labor standards in its entire supply chain. Here, the supply chain is producing blocks.
So what exactly does a global HQ have to disclose about its operations overseas?
Pretty much everything. They need to provide a complete picture all overseas locations, the laws in that host jurisdiction, the scale of the operation there, ownership structures, key people on the ground. It's a full download.
And this isn't just a one-time report, is it? It seems to imply ongoing risk management of places the RA can't even visit.
Exactly. The headquarters in ADGM has to do continuous due diligence on its host countries and business partners. This means analyzing the regulatory risk of that country, checking the integrity and compliance history of their partners. It's a huge undertaking.
But wait, isn't that an incredible burden? You're basically asking the ADGM entity to act as a regulator for its own operations in another country. Couldn't that scare away the big global players?
It's a very high bar, no question. But the goal is to make the ADGM license a gold standard, a kind of global seal of approval. The guidance says the HQ has to apply ADGM's core standards everywhere it operates, on top of following local laws.
And the RA can check up on that.
Oh, absolutely. They can demand periodic reports on the overseas stuff. And they also mention engaging with their international regulatory counterparts, sharing information. Plus, if there's a major compliance issue overseas, it has to be reported back to the RA immediately.
It's a truly global framework for accountability.
It really is.
So what does this all mean? If you had to boil it down for our listener, what is the ultimate goal ADGM is trying to achieve here?
I think the goal is to build an innovation hub that is synonymous with responsibility and stability. By demanding such robust security, governance, transparency with the wallet disclosures, and this cross-border accountability, they're sending a message.
And what's that message?
That they only want serious, well-capitalized, and highly compliant players. They're choosing safety and long-term stability over, a quick, easy, low-friction environment. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole approach is designed to really strengthen the risk management of the entire virtual asset ecosystem in ADGM. And by putting it out as a discussion paper, they're telling the industry, let's talk about this. Let's build something sustainable together.
The emphasis on governance is definitely the thread running through it all. Okay, so for our final provocative thought for you to take away and think about, the area is specifically asking for input on whether they should require even more data from these global headquarters. Specifically, they've floated the idea of requiring disclosure of the energy mix used by their facilities in other countries, renewables versus fossil fuels. So the question is, if an ADGM headquarters is forced to report on the energy sources of its global partners, how could that single requirement fundamentally change the entire economic and geographic strategy of the world's biggest mining companies, pushing them towards sustainability instead of just the cheapest power? Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the ADGM's proposed crypto mining guidance. We hope this makes you feel much more informed on this really groundbreaking approach.
Until next time.
See you next time.